Hello everyone, Matthew Silpot here. Welcome once more to this channel where we're talking about music education and things surrounding development within your music. Now, today we're going to talk about a very touchy topic. So I'm going to start with these prompts: stage fright, anxious, afraid, stuck, performance block. Do any of these terms sound familiar? Of course, we have all been there, standing on a stage in front of a whole audience with mixed intentions, mixed feelings. They don't know what to expect. Supporters, naysayers, frenemies, friends, people want to see you fail, teachers, peers, and the list goes on and on. Sometimes the room always feels dark. Literally, it's dark sometimes, but like mentally, it feels dark and heavy, almost like a scene from a horror movie. Stage fright is really a common thing. A lot of people go through it, they don't know how to deal with it. But through manifestations of your heart racing at exceeding speed limits, police can't even catch you. Shakiness of limbs, you feel like you're going to pass out. You have blocks throughout the performance, and usually this can affect the quality of your performance. And a lot of people get discouraged from music education because of stage fright. They don't know how to handle it on stage, how they deal with the effects, and I will share because even now, I get nervous to be on stage. And when I tell a lot of people that I'm nervous when I'm on stage, they say, no, you're telling lies. Because ultimately, we need nerves to perform. But we cannot let nerves take over our whole performance, take over the whole entire thing. So, a lot of students, they will give up on music because they can't perform in front of people. And a lot of times, for you to present something within a class setting, that's even nerve-wracking for people. And, one of the solutions is that you simulate things because, you want to ensure that people are comfortable with an act. They say to do something a certain amount of time, it becomes a habit, and then after time it becomes like natural practices and tendencies. But the truth is, many students will give up on their music training because of anxiety, and many music educators, they don't know how to overcome anxiety within performance. And students should be taught how to learn. That's one. They should be taught how to learn. And then they can be taught how to perform, or how do you, make things worth or for your intention, even though they're going bad. A lot of times that we may have rehearsals and they may go perfectly well. And then on performance is almost like everything is going AWOL. Everything is going, to shambles. But what do you do in that situation? How do you react, or how do you make it be a benefit or be a part of that performance? Now, in terms of anxiety and all of that, that has impact on your auditory skills, impacting your kinesthetic skills, impacting your analytical skills, and also visual and emotional. Now, the way you hear, perceive hearing, the way you do things, the way you're able to analyze what is happening, the way you're able to see and make it work your way, and the way it's to impact where you're emoting. All of that has to be in play in terms of how you present music performance, how you present your work within a space. So here are some quick things that we need to know. Like in terms of learning by ear, a lot of our culture, we learn by ear or rote. So how do you learn by ear? A lot of people say, I can't function without the music in front of me. You can, by one, consistent repetition of passages. Once you do that, it becomes automatic. It should become a part of you. So sections and phrases, you practice them over time. It creates that muscle memory, which is also forming that kinesthetic part of learning. The great Suzuki method is referenced in terms of this type of practice. So your memorization should be deliberate and it should be strategic in practice. So if you're doing short passages at a time, if you're doing chunks of information at a time, that you can memorize it. A lot of times if it involves text, what I normally do with my singers is that I say, put the text in context, and that should help you with memory. So for example, if the piece is telling a story, put the story in context. What are the events? What are the things that are transitioning into each other? And that will kind of help you in terms of getting the words together, memorized and all of that. Sometimes there are certain rhythms that will help you to get the words going. Sometimes there are certain innuendos that you do. So here's a couple of things that can help with your memory, because memory has a big thing to do with stage fright. Because you don't remember, remember the thing them, you're gone. Especially if you're supposed to do something without music. So there's this thing called chunking, and chunking is really using your theoretical knowledge and your analytical memory that may not be available at all. You divide the sections into smaller bits for best results. So if it's a big work, if it's a 5-minute work or a 15-minute work, divide that up into small sections and chunk it so you can get it. There's another process called backward chaining. It's going from the end of the piece. So working from the end of the piece to the beginning, especially if the end has really complicated things, you can do that. You can go from the end of it and you start putting into context that type of way. And there's also this concept of mental representations. So using, your 5 forms of memory to develop mental pictures of the pieces you're working on. A lot of people draw what they see and say you won't be able to function unless you see visual images. If you can perceive that mentally, then great. So if that works for you and help with your memory, that would be good. So in terms of your memory, we use our kinesthetic muscle memory for technically difficult passages. We use retrospective auditory memory to keep track of what has just been played or sung, and we use prospective auditory memory to recall the music that is about to come. We use visual memory for the score, the position of the fingers, hands or body in relation to the instrument, or cues from co-performers, including conductors. And we use emotional memory for the story to be told by the music. So knowing how to use these 5 forms of memory, so we have kinesthetic muscle, which is for your technical work. We're using retrospective auditory memory to keep track of what has just been played, or what is being sung, or especially if you're working with an accompaniment. And we want to use our prospective auditory memory to recall the music that is about to come. We want to use our visual memory for your score, and the position of fingers if you're playing, hands or body, position of your mouth if you're singing. In relation to your instrument, use the cues from if you are singing in an ensemble or playing in an ensemble, you're watching your conductor. And then finally, we're using our emotional memory for the story to be told. And that really encompasses memory as it relates to music performance and music on stage. A lot of times if you're not able, we're talking about emotion, you're talking about connecting with your audience, and sometimes you can just highlight a person in the audience or a section to kind of connect to help with that. I do that. If I'm singing, I find someone in the audience that I can say, okay, you're my go-to person. And it doesn't have to be a person, it can be in the direction of a person that you can do that. So these different types of memories you can use, and these type of skills you can try to enact on stage, that it helps you with your performance and with all of that. So memorization strategies can include over preparing, simulating the performance, space for the rehearsal, and you can break down your difficult passages. And what happens is that some mental techniques are helpful for memorization, including positive affirmations, reshaping how learning occurs, and being mindful of the present. So your positive affirmations can be, I can do this. I can really do this. And you keep on telling yourself that, look at the way how you learn, and you allow your situation to work for your benefit. Try to get in some deep breathing and other relevant techniques to relax yourself. Use movement to assist with your presentation, so don't stay one place. If you need to move, your hands a little bit. Singers usually do a lot of hand work, simple gestures, that type of thing. And you want to reframe anxiety as excitement. So if you're getting anxious, look at it as excitement. We need the nerves to perform. So yes, I need this to just get on going. So if you're having stage fright issues, if you're having memory issues, consider these things in your preparations, and they should be able to help. If this has helped you, comment, share, and give me some feedback, what you think in using this thing, because I grew up in a different culture where you were just told to just learn and do the thing, not considering, all of this memory thing that you'd have to access, and being able to present with all of this information in mind, and the way how you prepare as well has a lot to do with it. So, yeah, one of the things about memory, well, good. See you next time. This may be able to help your students, especially vocalists. I know in Jamaica, a lot of people are afraid of the stage, especially when they get onto the JCDC stage. So see how you can help them as a teacher, or if you're a student, see how these tips can help you, and put it into practice. Try it out. Try it with your mirror first, then try it with some friends, and try it with your teachers, and then, hope all goes well. See you next time. Walk good.